Ladies, gentlemen, welcome back again. Another week, another great episode. It is the Center Street Boys, and we have S.T.R.A.P. Strap. We have D.I.P.O. Dipo. We have D.E.Z. Des. Fellas, how are you doing?
Doing good, doing good.
I'm getting better with that intro.
Yeah, it's getting more natural.
I know.
Before I was thinking, like, how do I spell this?
Nah, your next task is to say my full name.
Ah, man. I'll have this do that. I can say Oladipo. Oladipo. Yeah, that's good. That's good enough, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to do the other one. If I have to like call out like say the whole
Oladipo,
acronym.
Oladipo.
Can you say the acronym like each letter?
Man, probably not.
Yes. So it's been. I know this may be dropped when we have an NBA champion somewhere. Somebody's either gonna be happy somewhere, somebody's gonna be burning a jersey somewhere.
Yeah.
So we don't want to just elaborate on that because last episode we talked a lot about basketball, and I'm sure the audience may have. If you're a lady that is not into sports, if you're a gentleman that's not into sports, you may have been fast forwarding into the good stuff of our main topics. But yes, as we do, we start with social commentary, and it's one of those. So I wanted to talk about Cam Newton testing positive for COVID-19. And the reason it's been a few weeks after.
Yeah.
NBA has not had a slip up yet. And I'm not blaming Cam. I mean, this is natural. But the NBA bubble has been perfect. No, I don't think any cases came out of the NBA bubble.
No, I don't think so.
And baseball, a few cases have been coming out.
Well, I mean, the
soccer
NFL,
soccer's been pretty solid too.
Yeah, soccer's been doing good.
Well, soccer, no, so they have had a few cases.
I
know in Spain they did. They had a few
in the
cases.
bubble.
Well, but they haven't really had a bubble.
But they don't have a bubble either. Yes.
So we shouldn't even call it a bubble.
I know two Liverpool players, Sadio Mane had caught corona, and who else? And Thiago, something, the guy from Bayern who went to Liverpool.
I mean, positive. Those guys are still traveling. They're traveling to different places, and they get to interact with different people. So they're not in a bubble like the NBA. The NBA is like a
NFL
closed bubble.
Yeah.
No, not really, because they still have to travel to different locations to go play.
Yeah.
So it's not really a bubble. For me, when I hear bubble, I'm hearing like a closed, like a closed environment where you don't really get to let people in and out as much. I think the NBA is
like a controlled environment.
Quarantine type of thing.
And it's easier to do with the NBA than the NFL, just because the football is played in the biggest stadiums, and you can't keep using the same stadium for all games.
Right.
It's going to ruin the field. But I mean, they've done as much as they could. But to me, this was expected.
Is Cam the first person to contract it?
No.
The other team was already struggling. Was it Titans?
The Titans, yes.
Yeah, the Titans were struggling. They were already struggling. A couple of guys back to back before.
So how it's a contact sport? I don't get this. It's a contact sport. Very like you're around somebody, and it's big squads. If one person gets it, what's the protocol? Like, do you have to trace the people that have been around him? I mean, he's a quarterback. He's not like one of those guys, the linemen who are always holding somebody.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what that is. And in the NBA, yes, it's contact a little bit, but it's very interesting because that's how big is the NFL roster? Like 45?
53, 56.
53, I think.
50, so 53. Does everyone have to like take a 14-day quarantine?
No.
But you get tested. They all get tested. You have to test negative twice, I think.
And they're doing the instant tests though. But those are not like antibody. Like
that's why because it's a business, right? Like they can't just shut down the whole business, and that's a multi-billion-dollar business.
Right.
So they will test you the first time, and then they're probably going to monitor you if you display any symptoms, and test you like a second time. I think that's what they do, which is not really perfect because someone can actually start showing the symptoms like a week later.
Right.
So it's possible
that
that may happen.
Fellas, you know what just hit my brain right now? We forgot last week to talk about and this the testing has made me think about presidential debates. And
Oh yeah.
like we found the commander in chief tested positive, him and his wife, and
Mhm.
his secretary tested positive for COVID-19. And apparently during that debate, Trump skipped a test with Biden. Biden tested the instant and got the negative result, and then
Yeah.
Trump was like kind of busy, and he was like, "Yo, I
Should I play?
was he really busy?
was it a chess move to? He already knew he had it, and they didn't want to tell
Right.
everybody."
Was he
I,
really busy?
That's the one argument a lot of people have been
Right.
making because he was not very transparent
and
about
Biden
that.
is an older man.
Yeah, I mean they both hold, but
See how we getting
you know,
conspiratory right now?
yeah, no, that's what
I
I
mean,
was thinking too.
yeah, it's facts. I mean, it's facts to it. Like, why you trying to play my man's Biden, man? You should try to get him.
Talking about
Yeah,
tests.
but
Yeah.
And then you see my man is on all sorts of drugs, man, and he's been putting out these small pharmacy, like their stock, the things that he was calling his therapeutics, the therapeutics
yeah,
he was taking. Do you see
yeah.
the stock rise for those things, bro?
I mean that's how it
Because
is.
when
Yeah.
Trump came out, he's like, "Yo, he's riding a bike, he's doing all this stuff, like
It's capitalism, man.
bro."
I mean that's how usually where the person where the person goes, that's where the market goes
Yeah.
as well. It's
But
usually like that.
this is your field, right? You guys go and do this research, do this background testing of these viruses and these medicines for 10 years. For 10 years. And now you have to fast forward your process within how many months do they need this vaccine? They need it like, apparently they say they need it in like 6 months or 4 months, which I don't think is going to happen.
Well, it's not guaranteed,
But that's
it's
what they're saying. I was reading
possibility.
somewhere that they want it very soon. How many people are you going to test this thing on? You going to, because you have to test it on people.
They've already been doing it.
And maybe
They've
Trump
been
is
doing
maybe
it.
the first person to be tested on those things. Maybe.
Well, I'm not sure if he got the vaccine. I know he got this
therapeutic.
antibody cocktail,
Mhm.
which is still in trial, like going through trials
Steroids.
as well. So yeah, they gave him some drugs that have been around for a while. I
Another
forgot the name of this one drug.
another word for exclusive treatment.
Yeah. So, but what you guys think about both debates? Which, for me personally, I thought the vice president was more presidential than these two old men acting like little kids, man, at a playground,
Hey,
bickering
it's
back and forth, bro. I don't want to laugh,
it's
but sometimes you gotta laugh to prevent yourself from crying.
it's
Sometimes,
it's almost it's almost like in games, right? When you're playing someone who's trash, right? You almost start playing the same way.
but I won't lie to you. I didn't know Mike Pence is that sharp. I went back. I didn't watch it live. I had to go back, play it, take away the fly and all that stuff that, the simple-minded people was. Mike Pence sounded alert. Kamala, I don't know if I'm saying her name right. They were like, they were sounding like legit. I'm like,
I mean,
okay,
yeah.
Mike Pence brought Kamala's history too. I was like, oh, this guy he's cold-blooded though. I could see he's cold-blooded and they don't respect women. But I can see the way he was talking to her.
See,
But this dude was like he had like a jab, he had like a knife. He was sticking a little bit. I was like, oh, I thought he was old and kind of like Indiana type, like no respect to white people in Indiana, but
I mean, he used to be
I
a
kind of
governor.
profiled him. Yeah.
He used to be governor, so I think he's always been known to be a good debater.
Yeah.
I found out he's also a lawyer. That's why he's good at talking. Like,
Yeah, and
he's a former attorney.
he's very Christian, I think. Like very conservative to say, like, speak bluntly. But he's a good debater, I heard, and he obviously doesn't carry himself like Donald Trump, because Trump from the beginning, even when he was running his first campaign, he was running as, I'm not a politician, so don't expect me to speak like one. And that's what he's been doing the whole time. Pence is still a politician.
Have you guys seen that video on Twitter of Trump compared to Barack Obama about things that they say? But when they were talking about when Barack when sent that hit for the guy in
Oh yeah,
in
yeah. I seen
Iran,
that. I
and then
seen that. Yeah, yeah,
when
yeah.
Barack sent a hit for Bin Laden, and then Trump sent the hit for that. And they were comparing. Trump said, "Oh, we killed him." Barack said, "We assassinated. We finally secured
Yeah.
it." You go watch that shit. It is funny. It is funny,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I won't lie to you. There's an entertainment factor that comes with Trump. That is, I don't like him as a leader, but the guy knows how to make the numbers go up because nobody watched the vice president debates like the way they were watching him and Biden go at it.
Well, I mean, they are the main characters of the show,
Yeah.
Biden and Trump. So regardless of whether you want to watch the vice president debates or not, people are going to watch the president
But
debate
check this out.
because that's
The
what's
debates,
the most
the debates
interesting.
are making more. They're having more people watch the debates than the playoffs. Like
They
it's
should
crazy.
I mean,
they should have
though.
more people watch the
They
debates in the
should.
playoff. The
I mean,
playoff is just
I think also Trump is because, but we watched when Mitt Romney was going against Barack. Like nobody was watching those debates like that back in
I
2012.
was I was
Was it 2012?
I
Yeah,
was watching the
Yeah.
debate. I mean, maybe
2012.
you. I think
I
people
wasn't watching. I wasn't
people still
watching it.
watch.
I wasn't watching. Let me tell you, I just got into politics like maybe 3 years ago.
I've been into politics since like 2006 or something.
Yeah,
Like five. I've always liked politics.
I'm a tech nerd. Ask me about tech. That's my politics. I know nothing. So when I've been just trying to do my due diligence and inform myself because I
mean,
realized like I've been
yeah.
avoiding the most important thing.
I mean, I don't go around. I don't go around talking politics with everyone, but like I'm interested in knowing what's going on with the country. Like
Yeah.
what's going on, because just like we said last week, like you have to do your due diligence,
Yeah.
do your research, and just watching those guys talk and debate and talk about their political plans. Like does help me make up my mind about which one I want to vote for.
Yeah. Talking about due diligence, we talked about this last week. We talked about democracy and how it's applied in different places. And we talked about our beloved Africa.
Mhm.
We talked about our beloved continent, the continent that birthed us, the continent that raised us, the continent that fed us, the continent that is in our blood, the continent that has taught us our morals, the continent that has made us, fairly successful people,
The
successful.
motherland.
Yeah, the motherland. We talked about democracy being convoluted with tribalism,
Yeah.
the mixing of tribalism and democracy. This is a very delicate topic, so let's walk slowly.
Yeah.
The mixing of democracy and tribalism. We describe democracy as majority rules
Mhm.
and tribalism as communal. Us versus them. We are better. We stay intermarrying with each other.
Right.
We stay supporting each other. It's us versus them. 3,000 years ago, our tribes went to war. It's us versus them. Now we
Right.
introduce this thing called democracy. How do those two things mix? Somebody take it off. Take over, please.
Look, man.
Go ahead, Des. Go
Yeah.
ahead.
So before we jump into that very interesting topic, I'd like to tell our listeners, our viewers, our African brothers and sisters, go get your mamas, your sisters, come out because it's about to get
With popcorn.
it's about to get interesting into our American friends or international friends that don't know much about, or maybe that have never experienced this. This could be something very interesting as well. First of all, I wanna start by saying, to me, I personally think tribalism is worse than racism. Because why am I saying that? Because when it comes to racism, you are looking at the color of the skin.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
But when we go with tribalism, we could be from the same country, we could be living in the same city, have the same citizenship, but we don't like each other.
Right.
And that's not good because knowing that, say we are the citizens of the same country, and we should be wanting our country, our
Yeah.
city to evolve, to bring positive change. Yet within the city, within the community, we are not getting along. and how do we move forward? How do we
Yes,
make
you have
sure?
brought a very good point right there. I have a question, and I know Deepa has a
Yeah.
point right there.
Yeah.
Why do we have this innate demon in us as Africans to always want to separate each other? We never have that unity.
So
Why?
I think I'm going to use another question to answer a question. Democracy wasn't naturally ours, was it?
No.
It was given to us, right?
Yes.
So the question now is, were we better off living together in our separate tribes and having one ruler each step up to then collectively head locations or head cities or head, whichever word you want to say. So the question is democracy doing us more harm than good? Or does it even fit into a system where you have so many different tribes who all have their own ideas and ideologies? Now, I'm not saying that systems cannot work together, but is democracy the best way forward? It could be. Some countries are working fine with it, but I'm speaking from a Nigerian perspective, where we always talk about the three main tribes, but it's a lot more than just Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo. There's so many more different. So, and unfortunately for those other tribes, they're usually on a back burner, just because of the way the system works. But does it really work for us?
Dipo, yeah, interestingly, maybe you guys didn't think about this, but I'm going to give you an answer that's going to maybe shock you guys. And well, to answer your question first, no, we are not better off living without democracy. And no, Africa is not the only place you could call has had multiple groups, tribes, quote unquote, that got to coexist and become one. Example, America is one of them. Think about it. What is America? America is a collection of different ethnicities or different people with different ethnic background that came in together to form one country. Because people, when they see America, they think, oh, like Americans. But if you think about Americans, who are Americans? The French people, the English people, the people from the Irish, all those, the Italians, all those people. There you go. There you go. So you can't tell me if these people were coming from different countries, completely different locations, were able to get together and form one country, that Africans.
But that's the difference, though.
Okay?
There's a difference.
So
it's similar, but it's still different. Because
that's no. Let me finish. Let me see where I'm going with this. Because let's not
listeners pay attention. This is a very good episode.
Let's not pay too much attention to words, tribes, and this.
Right.
What we're talking about here is differences. It's being able to be different people and coming together as one. Well, you know what I mean? So that's what we should focus on, because when we talk about tribes, it means like we have maybe different customs, and we've lived in different locations. Right. But then going back to what last week when Strap said, like the Geneva convention, when they draw the line, say this is going to be Congo, that's going to be Uganda, Nigeria. So there's a high chance that people will live in somewhere in the border of Uganda and Congo, but they end up living in the Congo side or Ugandan side. So we did have different people living in different locations, having different customs. And if you try to compare that to what happened in America, that's exactly the same thing. People coming from different locations, having different customs, that came and lived in the same location at the same time, and they had to find a way to coexist. So now I know you have a point to make, but now the question is it really the differences that make us, who we are today in Africa, or is it just a mindset?
It could be the mindset, but also my point was this: the difference is people migrated into the United States, so you have to find a system of democracy to rule all. Right. As a Nigerian, my tribes, that was where, or at least for the longest, that's where I was situated, right?
No, I disagree. Migration happened in Africa for many centuries.
It did. But I'm saying democracy as the means for the current day, or for as long as we remember. Is that really what suits us. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm saying I'm just putting the dynamics into it, right? So for America, you said everybody migrated. The only person that was here for the longest before everyone else came in were the natives, right?
Yeah.
But for Nigeria, for the longest, it was all these tribes together. So was what they were using before, was it working just fine for them before you brought in democracy to rule over all? It's a different thing for America, where everybody migrated in the recent times. So you had to use democracy to rule all. But in Nigeria or in Africa, in Congo or in Uganda or in South Africa, where things were working fine, or because I wasn't born there, I don't know how it was then, but things were progressing fine, just good enough. And then you brought in democracy. I'm not saying that democracy is bad. I'm just saying, I'm trying to paint a picture.
Yeah.
You know?
But
was it?
Go ahead, please. No, I was going to say, but okay. No, I'm going to let you keep going. But what I want to say is, America, the country of America, United States of America, was not like when all those, like different people from different cultures, different locations migrated to America. This was not like a one country where you have to come in and rule it. Right. They decided that even though the land is big enough for all of us, even though we could settle in different areas of the land, we would be stronger if we unite into one nation. So that's see. But there's a saying where it says like one finger. I forgot the thing in Africa. I mean the saying in Africa.
But I know about collectiveness.
You know what I mean? You're like one finger. You can scratch by one finger, but with like the whole hand, you can wash the whole body. Yeah. So coming together as one nation makes us stronger than living separately in different locations.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But to play devil's advocate, it was the majority in America that made that decision.
Yeah.
If you ask
I'll say this, fellas.
The Caucasian. If you ask a Native American when they came in and were terrorizing them, would they have agreed with after the fact, right? After all the atrocities were done. Then you ask a Native American after what has happened, you tell him that you want to all come together and be one country. How fair? That's.
I'll say this, fellas. I'll say this.
Yeah, go ahead, Sean.
I'll say that with that, you guys have brought very valid points, and I like where the discussion is going. I would say this: let's not forget the fact that we are products of indoctrination. All of us. Indoctrination meaning we were. From birth, we were taught to think a certain type of way.
Yeah.
Okay? Before indoctrination, even before indoctrination, there was indoctrination. There was right now we're indoctrinated into what we are. If you're a doctor, you're indoctrinated as a doctor. If I'm an ID person, IDT, whatever, we indoctrinated. But before that, we were also indoctrinated in our religion, in our tribes and all that stuff, right? So let's go back to the original thing. We talk about the Geneva. I don't know how to say. How do I say? You who's French? How do they call that place? Geneva Convention that separated and drew marks around the continent, right? To separate us, right? The people that were doing that were Europeans, not Africans. Remember, let's remember that.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people that were doing the splitting of these countries, it was not for our interest. It was because they were trying to get resources and minerals, and somebody had lost the war, and Germany had to lose its joints. He had to lose its countries that they had their hands in trying to steal resources. I remember at that time, everything was based on Africa runs the world because that's where cotton, textile, raw materials, everything, all these different energies from Africa, everything came from there. So they were just, getting a vacuum thing and sucking stuff from Africa and extracting stuff. So let's remember, we have countries not because of our benefit, it's because of the benefit of the Europeans. So,
agreed.
So we agree on that. Now, there's something here that we are forgetting. There's tribalism, and there's also something that Africans also have, which is called nationalism. We have flags that represent our nations. And this was all created from that Geneva Convention. We have patriot acts and feelings because of that thing, and we separate ourselves because of that thing. So I think it's a tribal on tribal idea. So first tribe is your tribe that you speak, the language you speak. Second tribe is your nation. Now you are saying Nigerians are better than Ghanaians, or Ghanaians are better than Malians, but you don't even understand why there's that divide and rule idea.
Exactly.
You know? And then
Mindset.
mindset. And then sometimes they say I used to, in 2014, I used to do a lot of illusion. Illusion meaning reading about illusionists, like people that make magic tricks. Because ever since I was a kid, I'm one of those weird kids that I used to believe magic was a real thing. Like people like, in circus, like, like I'm one of those, call me a nerd, but I like people like David Blaine. I used to follow people like Chris Angels, like weirdly. And I never used to tell people about it because people would laugh at me when I say, yo, I believe in
Right. You're not the only one. I was into that as well.
Yeah, so I say reading books on how people make people believe things, and I learned something about neuro-linguistic programming, where people will tell you words and things and ideas and make you do stuff without even you knowing that you're doing it. But moving from that, it's the mind. Like the mind is a crazy thing. You can make people see things that they don't even they think they're seeing it, but you're not seeing it. And we go back to the idea of us being split into countries, and now we have ownership. We take ownership in these countries. Like, oh, I'm a Ugandan. I have a Ugandan passport. I'm proud, Ugandan and proud. I'm so UG, whatever. I'm so Nigeria. We go to World Cup, which is like the modern day World War, right? We're gonna play and see who's the best country. But looking at all these foreign countries, we never look at the scope of France and seeing, oh, these are all Africans that are proud to play for France. But anyway, that's another story for another day. What I'm talking about is, remember, we come from a continent that has history before the colonizers came in. So when we start to understand these relationships between different tribes, these colonizers, or the people that were splitting Africa, didn't understand the history of wars between tribes. They didn't understand that even before even slavery was in America, Africans in my own country, we had tribes that were making other tribes slaves. We don't even talk about that.
Right.
As prisoners of war, I guess you defeat them and then you take.
I beg to differ. I think they understood well enough, because if they didn't, they wouldn't have found. They wouldn't have. They wouldn't have mapped out a plan.
They were ignorant because they came into countries like Uganda and named mountains in European names. This mountain existed before you came here, and you say, I discovered.
But I don't think that's due to ignorance, though. That's due to
narcissism. They were narcissistic and ethnocentric. Everything centered around them. So, sorry.
Yes, no, stop. I was going to say, like, you made a really good point. Like, up to now, you've been making a really good point, and you're trying to get away from your own point. This is what I'm saying. That's why Dipo has to bring you back, because I think earlier you said like the Europeans, or like the colonizer. They had a plan in mind when they divided Africa, and you said it right. So they knew what they were doing.
Divide and rule, yeah.
And thank you for saying that, because I really like it. The reason why I like it's very simple. So the reason why they draw the lines, and they had to name Congo, like a certain piece of land, Congo and Uganda.
Yeah.
If we think about it, it's not because they didn't know what they were doing. It's because they wanted to divide us to a certain extent.
Absolutely.
Like, going back to my point, if you have 5 fingers, you can do more with 5 fingers than you can do with one. So now if you separate the 5 fingers and you let them go to work each individually, you don't get the same result, right? So the lines were meant to be, they were like segregation lines, basically. When they divide the lines, we don't really know how the tribes were actually spread out through the continent. It is possible, like I said earlier, there could have been a big tribe living in the border of Uganda and Congo, because of that line, once part, like one piece goes to Congo and the other piece goes to Uganda. So now you create separation.
Patriotism, like they start going against each other.
So you see, you did say something interesting. I think Dipo is eager to jump on something else. Stop to say that was interesting. You talked about illusion. But I don't think he used the right word. He should have used the word brainwashing. Because we've been brainwashed to believe that we are our own enemy. It means your neighbor, Ugandan neighbor, Nigerian neighbor, which should be your friend, is your enemy. You guys should be competing, not trying to get together to build something better. Dipo, now I'm going back to you. You said earlier something about Caucasian being the majority in America, and that's why they decided that yes, we can build a democratic country, unify
But
into
America
one.
was you're right. America was the first democratic country. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
yeah. However, now you're saying like in Africa, the Western countries ignore is like tribes used to have like a certain political system, if you want to say it,
Yeah.
where we are ruled by a king. But hey, wait, the majority of people in Africa are black. Why can't we get together like the Caucasians and say, how about we unify as one rather than fight against one another? Question for you guys.
So to go back to what Strap Des was saying, talking about all five fingers, right? But this reason why I was not necessarily against, but trying to paint a clear picture, right? So they divided countries, they put borders, they put lines, but yet you decide that you want what. So after splitting the countries, right, regardless of all tribes, I think for the non-Africans, Wakanda taught you something. It was subliminally, you probably weren't paying attention to that. You can rule. One person doesn't have to rule. It could be so many different leaders of a tribe, as you can see during the battles or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Or you could see in whatever palace it was, right? Everybody has a voice. So my point is this, right? It's different. It's so many different tribes. Doesn't mean there cannot be a leader of each and every single tribe to then rule. But they come in, everyone is divided, and you say one person rules over so many different tribes.
Yeah.
Knowing fully well that every single tribe is not necessarily happy with that system,
Right.
but they still have to go with it.
Right.
It wasn't a doctrine that we wanted to hold fast.
Right.
It was given to us. In Nigeria, you can still see that there are kings here and there that get whichever way where it works. I'm not saying it's a perfect system, but I'm saying the way they it's almost like they played us, right?
Right.
They showed us the most negative sides of tribalism. To say, oh, you guys are going to war, like Strap said, slaves and this and that. Us not knowing which way would work better for us. There's this say something. Why don't we all come together as a continent and have one ruler, right? The tribalistic side, the negative side of that, won't necessarily let us do that. Right. I feel that's what they played on, right?
Yeah.
That's what they played on to then say, okay, let's depart you guys. Nigerians, you guys speak all this language together. You come together, but yet you still want to give us one leader, right? Which means instead of having 10 guys we have to deal with and make sure they're all in agreement, all we need is one person.
Right.
To one person that says something, or one person that we speak to, and whether or not everyone else likes it, as long as we're controlling that puppet, everyone else is in agreement.
But
go ahead.
No, this is funny because so sometimes now that I'm thinking about it, like yes, the Western countries, like the white people, colonizing countries, did give us they showed us the system.
Right.
They showed us the system. But did Africans get it wrong to a certain extent? So here's where I'm going with this.
Yeah.
We did.
No, wait. Let's keep in mind that everything in life has to be remixed. You have to make something fit you and customize you and your terrain and your beliefs. Because if they showed us the system, right? They showed us their system and how it works.
Yeah.
Which again is still us. We are still being subjects of them. If we're using their system, of course, we are still being subjects of them by using their system. But let's take away the idea of system. Like you said earlier, democracy is a system.
Right.
But let them understand there were systems that were running territories.
Yeah.
Right. And necessarily, if we talk about fiction like Wakanda, right? Wakanda, it looks dope as hell, man. You have the tribe of the apes, you have the tribe of this tribe coming together, and then T'Challa has to, you have to have that. It's good storytelling, right? But let's think about democracy as a centralized system, meaning all you guys can be leaders, but guess what? We have a president. Same thing here.
Yeah.
You could be a senator, you could be whatever, but we have a president. It's all centralized, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the thing about democracy, it brings us in close proximity with everyone, because now we have to work together to create that measure of a majority and a minority.
Right.
Something has to. So it brings us together. It centralizes us, whether we have different tribes, and we have to create some form of majority. If it's a party system, the party will be the thing that kind of tips the scale to make this the majority and this the minority. But the idea in the mind is this: if you bring that system to a place that has its own history of tribal wars, because there's some tribes that have been hating each other longer than even Greek people created this democracy. So even people have innate hate for another tribe without even knowing why they hate each other. It's like the same way we pass on religion on kids. Like, okay, my dad was a Catholic, you're gonna be a Catholic. Why am I Catholic? Because my great grandfather was a Catholic. The same way we have that is the same way some tribes, like I know for a fact, we have a tribe that we went to war with as a kid, and they live close to us. We have to vote with them. But my parents, they didn't even say anything, but people around us will say, oh, we don't mess with, you should never date a girl from that tribe.
Right.
It's like a beef, but we could do trades. We could buy stuff from them because of democracy. It's centralized. It makes us have to live with them and commute, but there's that thing in there that is embedded in us to create that separatism that separates us and somewhat draws our weakness because we can easily be divided. Yeah. And it can happen with Tutsis and Hutsis in Rwanda. 1 minute, boom. It's a what they call it, genocide. Is the word genocide?
Yes.
So and that really it defeats the purpose of centralizing us. It defeats the purpose because people have beef. Even today, Rwanda is democratic, right? Yeah. But do people forget what happened in '94? When people like this tribe was just chopping and hacking people with the pangas or the machetes, like do you get
what? Man, no, definitely. Like you made a good point again, and so going back to what you were saying here. Okay, before I get to my point, this is a looming big question for all of us that we have to answer at some point. Is like tribalism, is it a good thing or not? That's the big looming question for us. And I think the way I'm hearing Strap here,
I benefited from tribalism. I have to put my hands up. I benefited from it.
I mean, by your point did draw a contrast between how if a country like a place or like a population was using a democratic system, where like a tribalistic system, you will see democracy is supposed to bring us closer together. You said it. It's supposed to make us stronger. Yeah. Whereas tribalism tends to be more like divisive. Like he makes us weak. Let's be honest about it.
Yeah.
So now you said everything has been remixed, right? Everything's been remixed. The Western countries did show us the system, but like you said, we had something like within ourselves that we wouldn't want to let go of our past political system, which was one king rules and the family rules for years and years and years. And fast forward today, what do you see? Even though we have what we call quote unquote democratic countries, we still have many countries whose president want to rule for like 30, 40 years. And then when they die, what happens?
Right.
So you see, we haven't let go of our ways. The system was taught to us, but we remixed it and we combine it with our
we choose what we want from the system and throw away what we don't.
So you see, what it does to us is like we're not really following one path. We're not focusing on one path. We're going in multiple directions, and it's creating confusion. And with confusion come division, and division come weaknesses. So you see where I'm going with this?
Yeah, I see. I totally get your point, Des. But this is I think talking through this is one thing that stuck, right? We were taken advantage of because we weren't necessarily ready for that
growth. Hold on. We need to stop blaming the white man for our.
No. I'm not. This is why I'm saying this, right? Because you said democracy works. Now, obviously, as a Nigerian, for the last 10, 12 years, we've luckily had successful succession from one president to the other.
Are you sure?
Well, I mean, from
Sani Abacha.
Right? No. I'm talking about post. Okay. I'm talking about post Abacha.
Okay. Keep going then. Keep going.
I'm laughing when you said that. I'm talking about post-Abacha, right?
Okay.
So if democracy has worked so well, because basically democracy is everybody vote for one person and person rule, right?
Right.
But yet in East Africa, in Uganda,
Yeah.
you guys are still struggling. So how well? So let me go back to Nigeria. One of the reasons why that has not worked for Nigeria is because of having so many major tribes, right?
Right.
A Yoruba man is not about to sit and let an Hausa man or Igbo man stay in power for more than 8 years.
Yeah.
Once you start doing 12, 13, 14, I guarantee you a coup is around the corner. I can almost guarantee that, right? So my deal is trying to come in the middle, right? The reason why I said we weren't mature enough to the point where we were taking advantage of, right? We hadn't matured as a continent to where we can peacefully coexist within. It's kind of the same thing as lobbying, right?
Right.
The Asian community is still the Asian community. They will do business with everybody else, but yet they still want their own community to grow. That's what the Black community in America is trying to do right now, right?
Right.
So as tribes, as a Yoruba man, I'm going to be proud of my culture. Now, that doesn't mean that I'm not going to go into business with a Igbo man or Hausa man. In 2020, I've learned that, right? But
you have
Dipo, keep it 100. Keep it 100. Keep it what happened. Keep it 100, Dipo.
But which is my point?
If you saw a Yawusa store selling the same thing as a Yoruba store, which store are you going to? Keep it 100.
Hold on.
Dipo,
Let me finish.
keep it 100.
Let me finish.
What you're saying sounds good.
Let me finish now. It's still a maturity deal, right? You said me.
Okay.
I'm matured to that point, right? At the point where democracy came in, we weren't in that thinking space. So It was easy to say, okay, this is Nigeria, but yet we're going to have one rule. When you know fully well that each and every one of those tribes are going to be rubbed the wrong way, because obviously, for the most part, it seems like Yoruba has been the majority, right? Yeah. So every other tribe, the Igbo, Hausa, or wherever else, kind of has to either rub shoulders or find similarities to deal with the majority to then get into power. So,
look, man. We don't live in the past anymore. Okay, we don't live in the past anymore.
But the hope is to learn from the past.
No, we can learn from the past, but we do not live in the past anymore.
Yeah.
So here's my point. Today, Africa as a continent has been divided into different countries.
Yep. Right.
You have Congo, you have Nigeria, you have Uganda, you have South Africa, you have many countries. Mm-hmm. But we are still all Africans.
Yeah.
When I go to Congo, I go to Kinshasa, and I meet someone who speaks a different language, local dialects, I would call them, then say me, that doesn't take anything away from them being Congolese, just like me.
Absolutely.
Right.
So yes, we could say back in the days, the white man, because it was white people, they may have robbed us what we had back then, or maybe may have gotten us away from what we used to do. But today we have what we have, and we can go back. So we have to find a way to make what we have today work for the betterment of everyone.
Right. Which is
So stop. So this is why the question that I asked earlier.
Yeah.
Don't think about it from the past. Let's talk about today and going forward to be stronger as not just African countries, but as a continent as a whole. Is tribalism a good thing for Africa?
I would say what we all need to do, not only us as Africans, but us as just human beings, we need to learn to relearn. Sometimes it's okay to get everything that you were taught and step out of your body, step out of your customs, and start seeing things as in a different angle. Learn to relearn. Be teachable. And a lot of people that I've come across from my own family or even from my own country, they're stuck in their ways because that's what has been taught to them from birth. And it's worked for them because they're successful maybe in what they do, and supporting their family and supporting their tribe makes sense to them because they think in their mind they're doing the right thing because they're making their family and tribe stronger. If it's not giving a Yoruba man a job and giving it to a Yausa because I'm Yausa, meaning, oh, the Yausa tribe is going to get stronger because even though the Yoruba man is the most qualified, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
But sometimes learn to relearn and choose who deserves it,
Right.
who has the merit, who has the qualification, not
Thank you.
because there's some
True.
people that would hire their son. If same thing as uh, tribalism, it's also with what's the thing where you is it chauvinism? No, where you have your son, your kids get positions when they don't even deserve those
Right.
positions.
Yeah.
I forgot the name of that word, but it's a ism. But in the now, we have to learn to relearn. We have to forget sometimes. I mean, keep it in mind. Forget what you were taught in school. Understand that school is an institution. It's supposed to make you think a certain type of way so you can fit in a certain type of mold and get a job. But also look at your community in a way that your ancestors looked at that community. Look at the land, breathe the air, see how people interact with people, and understand that we are not different. We all eat from the same ground. We grow the same
Right.
crops. We are not different. Yes,
Word.
we speak different languages. Yes, we have different history, but remember, the strength in numbers is what makes change. And that's what democracy is based off is strength in numbers, majority. Yes, let's not look for the differences in us because guess what? We all have, even whether you're white, black, we all have the same genetic makeup. Only maybe 99% we have the same genetic makeup. The only 1% may be melanin or just
Yeah.
different drops of melanin inside your makeup because even white people have melanin, even Arabs have melanin. Everybody who's paler skin, let's not look for our differences. If the 99% of the similarities are there, why do we have to stress on our differences?
Yeah.
Right.
And
Right.
that's
I
the
mean,
thing that will make the change for us to
Yeah.
live in a democratic, fair world.
So
But that's me talking utopia.
so
It's
to
a
there's this
utopia
question.
idea.
To there's this question as a continent, no, tribalism doesn't help us. I'm in agreement with that, but I think the question I posed from the beginning is knowing how we stood as a continent, as different tribes before democracy came in. Did it serve us? And now moving forward, if we were to take away the tribes, like our leader in South Africa said, I forgot his name, or even the guy from Kenya said, if we take away the tribes and just leave within, what's the best way moving forward? Because funny enough, democracy has its way of almost enforcing tribalism, right?
Yeah.
Because once someone from your tribe becomes a ruler, you almost always want to have him stay in power, right? So my deal is I'm not in support of tribalism, but as a whole, be proud of your tribe. At the same time, be willing to work within or know the nuances of every other tribe. I'll give an example. I'm Yoruba, right? My mom grew up in the north, in a Hausa state. She speaks both our languages very fluently. She knows it. Sometimes as a kid, it was almost fun to see her relate to someone else from different tribes. So, as regards to there's this saying of seeing me maturing and knowing, to get away from those days, is those experiences that have made me realize that you could still love your tribe. Doesn't necessarily mean you should partake in tribalistic deals that then tarnish our images, because it is, yes, we've had this argument so far, but it is a weapon to divide us. Not knowing how to coexist outside of our tribes, to me, I feel is the biggest issue. Moving forward, that is what we need to figure out with or without democracy, is how do you within your tribes intermingle with other tribes to then, push, move with the best foot forward as a continent. So
yeah. So I'm gonna answer my own question and your question. My own question, like, do I think tribalism is good for Africans moving forward? No, and that's a big no. Um, And my answer is going to be tied to answering your question, which is looking back to what we used to be, or how we used to do things, and the getting away from that. Did that serve? Did that serve us right?
Yeah.
Again, getting away from that. Yes, it did serve us right. Because why am I saying that? Because it's good to talk about all these things because we're trying to alter values, African values. But if you look back, when we used to have kingdoms, we used to have one leader ruling like a whole tribe. Did that serve the tribe right? No. Why? How do you know? How do you know it? Today we have black people living in America.
Yeah.
Who were the ones that sold to black people?
True.
You know the answer.
Yep.
So it's not like back then people were living like a great life because they had one king and they were living within the tribe. No, they had wars, they had conflicts.
Yeah.
They were selling their brothers. And so I don't see anything good about that. Yes, we're not living, we're living better today because technology and the world has evolved, but it's not like we're living really well.
Yeah.
For me, that comes down to us lacking, the majority of us lacking that sense of unity. Because if we tend to focus on the word democracy is just a word, man. It's a word. The sense of unity that we should have should be something that we all should seek.
Yeah.
Like Strap was saying earlier, it could be a utopian world, but it's something that makes sense because when they tell you democracy, they're telling you unite and become as one nation.
Right.
Trying to go the same, moving in the same direction, right? So for as long as we don't understand that as people, it's always going to be tough for us to be able to get over the barriers that are in front of us. So to be able to evolve and become, because we all want our African countries to be strong, to be powerful, to do as well as Western countries. But if you really look at it, as long as we have the vision within amongst ourselves, there's no way we're going to be able to progress. There's no way we're going to be able to get over those barriers. So we have to come together and realize, like I think both of you guys said, we're not really different people. Yeah. We may speak different languages, but we all the same. We build the same. We're all black, and we should want to be able to move forward as one nation. You know what I mean? So the citizenship of the passport doesn't make you guys different from me. We're all the same.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's well said. I can't even add anything to that.
I can, but no.
And we could talk about.
I'll let it be.
We could talk about.
I'll say this.
Next time.
I have an idea, but it'll be for the next topic. Maybe I could bring it up, and then we could revisit this.
Yeah.
Do you think utopian ideas are the reasons why we conflict? Because people are dreaming while their eyes are open. Utopian ideas meaning seeing the perfect world and trying to enforce the perfect world on people that are not perfect.
I mean, that's
where I'm going.
Question. Yeah.
Because I could see that. I can see people trying to make this so perfect.
A lot.
Reality, people are struggling and people are pain.
Yeah, a lot of things affect. A lot of things affect a utopian idea. First is change.
Yeah.
Even though it's the most prominent thing, but the lack of, I think, as humans,
adaptability. People don't want to. People don't like change. People don't like it.
So looking for a perfect scenario can be attained because people are not easily willing to adapt. Or that. So that's one thing. Or the other thing is what you're selling. Is it attractive to me?
Absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, there you go.
Also, I didn't come up with that idea, so I'm not. It's then ego starts coming in.
You don't have ownership. Yeah.
Right. It's like that. Yeah. That's not my deal. So why should I be all in? I don't know.
Which sucks. That sucks. That people have mentalities like that, man.
I mean, we could. I mean, that's a good question. We could definitely explore this topic.
Yeah. We did last week. We had a topic that built into this week.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's interesting. Because you guys have been giving me ideas. I'm thinking, is utopia really realistic, or is really the problem? Is the thing that we see this vision, we see this end goal, but getting that end goal.
But as humans, everyone has to fit into their space. You need those people to push those narratives, right? and then you need those people to be pessimistic about it, and then you need those who then sit down and flesh out what is actually attainable from what he's saying.
Absolutely.
Well, that's what I'm saying. For me, I was gonna say it's as simple as this. For me, there's not such a thing as a perfect world as long
Right.
as human beings are a perfect being.
Yeah.
So, as much as someone may try to do that, that's not possible. But we can definitely, talk about it.
Funny story before we conclude it. Utopia is very subjective because if you
Yeah.
ask Adolf Hitler what utopia is, he
Right.
said, blonde hair, blue eyes.
Right.
Very,
you
very
don't
true.
exist in his world. So.
Right.
Very true.
Yeah.
So it changes. Their
yeah.
perfect world may be different
That
from
is
your
very
perfect
true.
world.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's
So,
a good topic of utopia.
Yeah.
May be the problem.
Yeah, to my point is what you're selling. Does it fit? Does it fit
there?
into my
Yeah, you tell me this is perfect. What black people everywhere? What the?
yeah.
Black people owning shit. Black people owning shit. That's a perfect world. To them, that's hell. Like shit. This is.
Well, that's what makes it even tougher, because as much as you're trying to attain that utopian world, there's always people around you that's not gonna fit into that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yep.
Yeah.
Fellas, it's been a great episode. This one, I wouldn't even want to put a number to it. I was thinking about the number, but I don't even want to mess it up. But I would think it's 12, but maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. Great episode, fellas. I hope you guys have a great weekend.
Yes, sir.
People that may love this episode, people that may catch feelings from this episode, we apologize. We just have to speak our truth.
It is what it is.
Word.
We have to speak our truth, and there are very many teachable moments. Even us, when we were speaking, I was learning. I was reflecting on myself. I was like, oh, do I have those ideas? Do I have these beliefs? Sometimes you have to put the mirror in front of your face, and you can't be talking about every other topic and not put the mirror in front of your face one time. Right. It's been another great episode. Fellas, do you have closing remarks?
Man, I think we've said it all, man.
Well, I'm hoping for the best for Mama Africa, man. That's all.
Absolutely. Ladies, gentlemen, viewership, listenership, it's been another great episode of Center Street Boys, and we are out.
Okay, good one.
Peace.
Peace.